Hello everybody, welcome to Witness My Minis. I'm Peter and today it's all about that base. In my last episode where I painted the Science of the Flame with a demonic looking OSL, I mentioned I had another commission coming up for the same client. And the time has come to tackle a beast of a mini. I'm sure you already know what I'm talking about. Of course, I'm talking about Belakor. When I first saw this mini, my jaw literally dropped. The old version of Belakor served as my demon prince of choice in all my fantasy battle games. He has been a champ in every game except that one where a freaking Skaven slave wounded him. The new rendition stands just under 7 inches with a wingspan of about 8 inches wide. The pose still pays homage to the original pose, but the base. Oh man, the base? The base is something completely new. When I decided to make a video on painting this sucker, I quickly realized that this couldn't be done in one video. There is just so many things to tackle. So follow along while I attempt to overdo an already amazing and very detailed base. I do the usual cleanup while assembling the base, using the flat side of the clipper as close as possible to the part, and then scraping away any excess with my hobby knife. As usual, Games Workshop sculpts fits all nice and snug when properly cleaned up. I prime it black using my regular Belakor black primer. It hasn't failed me yet. Starting from complete black is always to prefer when planning out any kind of paint job with more than one light source, or with any other light source than the typical zenithal one. I have a feeling that this paint job in particular will have a lot of light sources going on when it's done. The first thing I do is paint all the knickknacks on the base. You know, skulls, chains, all the regular stuff laying around really. Using such a big brush means that I can fill the belly with a lot of paint, and that of course eliminates the need to constantly go back to the palette. For the skulls, I use my regular recipe of sandry dust followed by a contrast paint. Usually skeleton horde or snakebite leather, depending on how much warmth I want. After the contrast has dried, I go back with the base color yet again and highlight a smaller part. To reach the final highlights, I just mix in more and more ivory. All the metal is painted TMM, true metallic metal. To be more specific, I painted them using Belakor metal color. Starting with steel for the base and moving up to duraluminum for the highlights. And then there's the dude chilling on the stairs. Wait, is that his soul? Yikes. He gets leatherwork on them boots as well as the same TMM colors on his armor. I also quickly wet blend some base coats just to get everything blocked in. And finally, I pick out some details with gold, just to get variations. I have a feeling that a lot of him will be encumbered by some light source, and there's just no point in going too far at this point. I just make sure that he looks painted. And after that, it's time for the rocks, and there is a lot of them. Similar to when I painted the Science of the Flame, I make sure to go really slow here. I still want them to be rather dark, since the rest of the scene will be bright as fuck. But I have to put some paint down just to make the shape of the rocks distinguishable. In this stage, I won't be painting them as bright as they will end up be. I'll stop somewhere in the mid-tone area, because I want to make sure that they don't compete in brightness with the lava. For the last highlights in this step, I use a moist brush with a diluted and desaturated blue. It's almost like a dry brush, but by using a moist brush, I don't get the dusty feel that a dry brush sometimes can. And after that, it was time for the lava. So the plan for this base was to take the lava to the extreme. About a year ago, I painted a commission for Squidmar for his Champions of Sona Kickstarter. And with that paint job, I tried to make waves. And I kind of liked how it turned out. If you haven't seen the video, it should be in the corner right now. So with that in mind, I thought, why not do lava waves surrounding the base? It could almost look like an anime character charging up to his full power. It's over 9,000! I do this by dragging out and thinning out cotton pads and then taping them to the top of a plastic mug. I then take 2-part resin and mix it with greenstuff fluorescent pigments. This is going to get lit. When the mixing is done, I spread it over the cotton, trying to spread it out with the back of a brush just to get dynamic shapes. The gravity will help in making the shapes feel like waves. I let it dry overnight, and when I come back the next morning, this is what I have. I clean most of the cotton away from the parts. They might not look it, but they are very durable. The small bits of cotton that is still showing, I cover in Belakor water effect. Then I try to find fitting places for the lava waves around the rock structure. After gluing the waves in place, I mix some UV resin with the same pigment and cover the remaining ground of the base with that. I use a toothpick to get it into all the small recesses. And would you look at that? I've created a peeled orange. It was time to get a variety of tones on the lava to make it feel hot. I did this by airbrushing, dry brushing and stippling reds, oranges and blacks on some random parts of the waves, as well as the places that could amplify the forms of the waves. When that is done, it's time for the lava flowing in the cracks of the stone. I start by thinning white ink with a lot of flow improver and letting it flow through the cracks. I use a small brush here to guide the ink through the cracks, and then I wait a while for it to dry. Once dried, I covered it with red fluo and mix orange fluo on some spots, and letting that dry as well. And once that has dried, I go in with white spots in places where I will later mark the brightest core with the yellow fluo color. Besides that, I spray white ink on the places that I think will be most affected by the different light sources going on, and then covering them with the appropriate color from the light source. Only making sure that the light that is cast is darker than that of its light source. And on top of that, direction is key. So on the rock formations, I actually glaze by brush in some reds going from below, as well as some blue as well as some blue from the top. The contrast between the red and the blue is as important as the contrast between the light and the dark in making the scene pop. For the soul leaving our dead friend on the stairs, I go with a turquoise, because it contrasts well with the orange in the scene. When I feel the lava is done, I go back to the rocks. I finish them up by highlighting them with a desaturated turquoise color. I do this by a simple layering style by painting brighter and brighter on a smaller and smaller surface. And that's it for now. The next thing I will do is paint the mini that will be coming up in the future videos of this channel. If you don't want to miss it, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell button so you get noticed when I release it. If you want to do me yet another solid, the link to my Patreon is down below. And that's it for this time, you guys. Thanks for watching. Now, here you have it. A base fitting the biggest and baddest of them all. A lava base taking to the extreme. A base for Belakor.